Have you ever felt?
Are you listening?
With veganism on the rise, Generation Vegan interviews the up-and-coming hottest vegans, and in this podcast we teach you the practical side of having a plant-based diet. Today we interview Dusty Beverley. Dusty and I talk more about the relaxed side of veganism, and in this episode we debunk the God put animals on this earth for humans myth. Thank you so much for joining me back on my podcast or YouTube channel, wherever you're watching this. And today we are interviewing Dusty, who is a bomb vegan bodybuilder who actually built his body while being vegan. Y'all know that is kind of where I'm at right now, trying to build my body back up as a vegan. And so I'm just going to let him introduce himself and just thank you for joining us today.
Hello, everybody, and hello. Well, my name is Dusty. Like Danny already said, I'm 27 and a half. I'm not quite 28 yet. Been vegan for almost 3 years. I haven't really been counting, but I think it'll be 3 years in, I don't know, like April or something or something like that. And I've been training for about a year. From the ground up, I want to do a show actually in November. That's my first show, an NPC show. I want to do that. I was supposed to do one this spring, but I wanted to win. So
yeah, no, that's super exciting. So are you gonna promote like vegan bodybuilding, or are you just gonna go in there and just kind of do it?
I mean, I probably would just do it, but I mean, along the way, I would promote, vegan bodybuilding and kind of showing people like, oh, you can do this and that. I actually tried to join Plant Built. Actually, they didn't have any slots opening for the year. They already had filled, so I actually wanted to join their team. But
wow, that's so cool. I hope you get it next year. That'd be so cool to say I know you. It's actually pretty funny because before I was vegan, I was a bodybuilder, and I would go to some shows, not competing, but just watching. And I would see people with vegan shirts on. It would say vegan. And I remember my coach being like, man, if one more person walks around with a vegan shirt on, I'm gonna kill myself. You can't get lean on it. And I remember like kind of going along with it, like, yeah, screw vegans, they're pussies, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom, for the cuss word. But and now that I'm here, I'm kind of embarrassed to even think about that. So just tell everyone a little bit about how you kind of were before you were vegan and what process brought you to being vegan.
Well, I actually have a similar story, which is I think it's much worse than that. But actually, my ex-girlfriend actually first brought up veganism to me in 2012, and I pretty much, I think it was 2012. Yeah, I pretty much like told her that was the dumbest thing I ever heard, and like this and that, and the problem was she didn't know much about veganism, so. And me, nutrition was like my first love. So, in school, I took nutrition classes and stuff like that. So, of course, I'm spouting all these, food pyramid stuff and all this, stuff. And she had nothing really to back it up. And, pretty much I discouraged her. And so she didn't even go vegan, actually. I mean, it wasn't mainly because of me, but I feel like I contributed to her not going vegan because of what I said to her. A year later, I became vegan, and I helped her along to become vegan after I was vegan. I love fried chicken and all that stuff, so when people try to tell me like, oh, I can't go vegan because I love meat too much, I'm like, fried chicken was my favorite food before going vegan. And I was, doing bodybuilding, so I ate heaps and heaps of meat all the time. And if I could do it, then anyone can do it.
That's so funny. I mean, not funny, like, I mean, it's just crazy how life goes. Mm-hmm. And I swear to you, like, I would be pouring queso in my mouth and just be like, I could never go vegan. I love queso. But here I am almost 8 months, vegan. And I'm like, no, I could never eat queso now. I know now.
You know too much.
Right. I know too much. I can't go back. So, okay. So I don't know if you watch Pal Simeon on YouTube. He's a smaller vegan, not size-wise, but how many followers he has? He has like 9,000.
I mean, I've heard of him. Yeah, I've seen him. I think we're like Facebook friends, I think.
Cool. Yeah, he's kind of in the vegan games category, as where he's really vicious as far as like calling out non-vegans. But anyways, I really like when he says that there's a trifecta of being vegan. So there's like the environment and the animals and your health, and it's the trifecta, bro. So, what is your main leg of why you went vegan? And did the other three legs kind of fall into place afterwards, or what happened?
I would say it was mainly the animals, like understanding that like I did not have to eat them. And I'm a firm believer. I mean, I don't want to get like too spiritual, but like I'm a firm believer. I'm not religious, but I'm a firm believer that we're all earthlings. We're all here together. And if either I have a soul, if I have a soul, then the cat has a soul, and the pig has a soul, and everyone has a soul. There's no like I don't feel like either we all have souls or we don't have souls. That's kind of what I believe. So I don't want to take someone else's life just because I'm hungry, and I don't want their destiny to be that, like, just, and also the way that they're raised and in fear and their whole life in torment, and it ends with that, like, as opposed to like I have a lot more respect for hunters, even though I don't condone them killing animals, but it's kind of, at least, they're killing one animal as opposed to factory farming where there's this animal is, at least that animal got to live its full life more than likely, and it died, as opposed to, it just being raised in captivity and just being slaughtered.
Right. I actually agree with that. Like, I know some more ethical vegans would probably jump down our throats for saying this, but I do respect hunters more. And I don't, in my perfect utopia, it's not the fact that we shouldn't eat animals. It's just the way that they're created at this point in our life is so disgusting. And they're not even it's not even real meat. I mean, because let's say, for example, I raise my own cow on my farm. I feed it organic feed its whole life. I love it. It's happy. It lives to be 15, 16 years old. And then my husband or me, if I'm brave enough to do it, just goes out there and shoots it behind the head. To me, it lived a long, happy life. It didn't know it was going to be killed, and then I have meat for 6 months. Of course, I would never do that because I'm too pansy to do that, which is why I don't eat meat for another reason. But that's my perfect utopia. But that just doesn't exist. It's more corporate farming, and people like to use, but I eat organic meat or cage-free eggs. No, that's not a thing. Like, that's the government morphing into another lie, I guess, is what you could
say. Like a smoke screen, like kind of like, right. Like, with the Whole Foods thing, like how they were like, I don't know if you heard about that, but it was like Whole Foods had like the cage free and all these like chickens and eggs and all that stuff, and then they got that stamp of approval, and they found out that the reason why they got a stamp of approval because they actually are the biggest contributor to that company or the organization that actually checks for all that. So they're like, oh, Whole Foods owns the company that's checking to see if they're cage free or all that kind of stuff. So it's like, I mean, I'm not like trying to start conspiracy theories, but
I know, like, it's something that has to be addressed. And when it's crazy, when we address it, we sound like, oh, you're just a conspiracy vegan. No, I mean, it's a questionable thing. Like, for example, when people say like, oh, I only eat organic or cage free, I'm like, look, here's my experience with how truth telling people are. My friend was dating or married to this guy for a long time, and actually, let's just take Bruce Jenner for a great example. He was married to Kris Jenner for how long, and they have all these kids, and then out of nowhere he decides not out of nowhere, in his mind he always wanted to be a woman, but he became a woman, and Kris Jenner had no idea until the last 5 years. So if she doesn't even know who she's been sleeping next to, living with, and have a family with, what makes you think where that chicken or cow came from just because a packaging says like, oh, it's organic? What does that even mean? You know what I mean?
I've come across people that will say that like they don't want to try some of my vegan food, like if I buy like vegan meatballs or the Beyond Meat or whatever, I buy whatever, like, and they don't want to try it because like I don't know what's in it, and then they're like, I'm like, are you serious? Like, it literally says the ingredients as opposed to a chicken or whatever. You don't know what hormones or whatever's been pumped into this, the animal, like, but you don't want to try the vegan food because you don't know what's in it.
Right. When people kind of talk to you about what you were just talking about, what do you show them? What information do you give them or links to go to help them break that disconnect of, the cow in the industry to the steak on your plate? And I have a story to tell you after that, but I just want to hear what you have to say.
I don't really refer people to anything only because I know they're not going to look at it. So I guess in that aspect, because I guess I know how I used to approach it. So I know like about somebody says, oh, read this article or do this, like they're not going to do it. So I just kind of like put it in terms that they understand. Like I'll say like actually I had a debate with a meat eater the other day at work, and he was saying like, oh well, when a pig can stand up on 2 feet and start walking around and having a conversation, then I know that I can't eat it because like our intelligence levels are the same or whatever. And I basically brought up the point. I was like, well, just because we have smarter brains and we can comprehend things and we live longer doesn't mean we're better than that animal. And we can't fly and an eagle can fly, but does that make the eagle better than us? It just means that we have other capabilities that, we have. Our ability is that we can think a lot better than other animals. We have that ability. We have, just like an eagle is like a turtle. Just like, a turtle, some turtles can live longer than we can.
I totally agree with that. And I try to think about it as myself as well, like how I handle it. So at first when I became vegan, I could not help but like spewing off like information, and I could tell it would really bother people. I don't remember vegans in my life doing that to me. I don't remember like rejecting the idea. I just remember having a predisposed idea and look of what vegans were, which is the point of my podcast. I thought, okay, what would have helped me turn vegan quicker? And that was if I would have saw people like you and other people that I've interviewed in real life that they were vegan, and not just bodybuilders, like 3 or 4 of them at a show with 70 other people that eat meat, but really seeing that. I used to think all vegans were mushy, hippie, dread wearing, animal loving, people, and they are, but we also come in different forms. We have bodies, we have regular jobs, we have regular lives. In fact, we have extraordinary lives sometimes because of the way veganism pushes us and it opens up our minds. So if you were to help, if a family were to come to you and say, hey, look, I want to go vegan, but I just don't really know what to do, and it's a very busy family, what is your go-to meal that you suggest to them that they try?
I pretty much just try to make it to where they don't have to change their lifestyle too much. So I try to put things that people normally eat anyway, like oatmeal, like things like, because a lot of times when people think vegan, they're just like, I don't know what to eat. I'm like, there's a lot of things that are vegan just by default that we always eat that you probably eat every day that you're just not thinking about, and it's like, like I would say, have oatmeal, just don't put any milk, use almond milk, use something, like that. And if you really, and in the beginning, I would recommend using all the, the fake meats, because that definitely like settles your cravings for meat, is, having, the fake chicken tenders and all the other stuff, veggie burgers, and like for someone starting off, I would say that, and especially for kids, and if you're getting your kids involved, because make it fun for them, don't make it like, oh, you just have to eat these vegetables, because if you just tell your kids that in the beginning, they're gonna be like, ew,
right.
Kind of introduce that slowly, and just kind of you have ice cream, make it fun, like don't have to be like a strict raw vegan or something to start off.
You don't have to go around eating broccoli.
I love broccoli, but yeah, like some people love, you find what you like. If you don't like it, I don't like grapefruit. I don't like tomatoes. I don't eat that stuff. So, or cucumbers, which some people are like, you're vegan, you don't like all these vegetables. I'm like, well, it's because I turned vegan doesn't mean I automatically start liking all these vegetables. Even though my taste buds did change slightly after becoming vegan.
Yeah, that's actually what I noticed. My cousin came over the other day and she was like, I cannot eat vegetables. They just are so gross to me. I'm like, at the beginning, vegetables are really gross to me too. But it's like kind of when you stop drinking soda. I don't know if anyone that's watching has ever been on a soda fast. When you come back after like 30 days or something, you drink a soda, you're like, wow, that's really, really sweet, because your taste buds evolve. And that's the same thing that happens. I can eat Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower. These are things I could never eat before, ever. And most of the time I come across them, like I'll be at someone else's house and they'll cook for me and I don't want to be rude, so I'll just like eat it. And then I'm like, okay, that's not so bad. And then I go home and I experiment with myself and I mess up a lot. But then I get to a point where I know how to cook broccoli better and it's not mushy and texture is bad and stuff. So yeah, that's really cool. So can you, for the people that are watching, give them examples of or places that they can go, YouTube channels that they can watch, or people that they can type into YouTube to watch to get better information and feel inspired?
Well, I I feel like I can recommend some, but I feel like it depends on the person. Like I feel like if you just want to be entertained, but yet learn, I would say I like Vegan Gains for that. Because, but at the same time, I feel like me and him have like different personalities. Like I a lot of the YouTubers I liked, I don't watch anymore because like Freely and different people. Like I used to watch them religiously, and then over time, some of these vegan YouTubers have gotten too like catty and too like, oh, look at the celebrities doing. They're eating this stuff, they're eating that. So I would say that the one I still watch is Vegan Gains, because I just like the fact that he's very scientific and he brings the facts into it. So I mean, if you're a meat eater and you're gonna go watch that, you're probably gonna be put off a little bit.
A little bit, just a little bit.
So, but if you go vegan afterwards, then it's kind of like it's kind of like the guys on your team, so it doesn't feel like he's attacking you. But I mean, that's all I can really say. I mean, I guess I could plug my YouTube, but I've been really crappy at posting.
Plug it.
Well, it's Plantville Athletics. I post workout videos sometimes, but I've been slacking hardcore on that channel. But I've been actually posting just talking points and different life and experiences and stuff too. Like, so if you like to be disappointed from time to time, then go check out my my YouTube. If you like to wait like every 3 weeks for a video, then
yeah, I actually think the same way about Freely. I really am trying to get to her festival in Thailand, the Fruit Festival, which is in June. But I do agree. If you come across, a lot of the times before I was vegan, I would be like, vegans are so intense and they're so mean and they attack people, they're aggressive. I understand why they do that now, because it's kind of like, you imagine all the viewers, imagine you're at your hometown, you're in your house, and you find out that your next door neighbor has 5 kids in there that are being raped and killed and sex trafficking, and you're the only person that knows that, right? What's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to go tell everyone about it. And when they don't believe you, you're going to get super, super frustrated, right? And you're going to be like, no, check it out. That's why they get so mad. And I understand, even though I'm not an ethical vegan yet, I feel like I'm getting more and more like that every time I watch a documentary or something. But just understand the people that are watching. If vegans seem like they're intense, it's because there's massive death and harm and hurt and pain out there that they are aware of and that we aren't, or other people aren't, and they just want to help you understand that. That way you can make a better choice and not eat meat and not contribute to that. It doesn't make you a bad person if you eat meat, just to let you know. I know plenty of good people that eat meat. I was one of them.
Well,
go ahead.
I was just gonna piggyback on that, like to the people watching, the viewers, and everything. I would say that like even if you're listening to this thing and you don't know, like don't expect to go vegan off of one conversation. I didn't go vegan from one conversation or one video or one thing, because whenever I talk to someone, I don't expect them to go vegan after I talk to them. It's all like it took a lot of different factors to break through, because you don't like to be told. No one wants to be told that their way of life is wrong. What you've been doing your whole life is wrong. And sometimes, it takes a lot to break through those cobwebs and kind of get past everything and think, okay, well, I need to make a change. Just like if someone tells you like, oh, you're a jerk, or, you don't, you're inconsiderate, a lot of times you're not going to believe it at first. I'm not saying that you're inconsiderate, you're, not vegan, but I'm saying,
right.
You gotta, to understand that you have to see a lot of different aspects, and, a lot of factors go into it. So anyone who's not instantly wanting to go vegan, like, it's fine. You might find it, you might never go vegan. I don't know.
And even I feel like even if you stop eating meat for yourself, strictly for health and not for animals, even 3 times a week or 3 days a week or 4 days a week, you're going to make a drastic change in your mentality and your health and the universe, or I'm sorry, the environment and the universe. How do you feel at the beginning of your transition? First, tell me, did you just jump into veganism 100%? Did you transition? Did it take you 6 months or a year? And when you first became vegan, what was the thing that was the hardest to give up? And how did you overcome giving that?
Well, I don't know exactly how long it was to transition, but I think it was maybe 6 months or so. But I initially just decided that I was going to only eat cheese or meat or any of those things if it was prepared for me. Like if someone made it and I went to their house or something, or whatever the case was, or I would eat it then. But I would not buy it myself at the store. So that was kind of like my whole thing. And then slowly, once I did that, I transitioned to, okay, now I'm gonna, maybe have milk and cheese from time to time, but no meat whatsoever, even when I was out, and someone made me food. And then eventually I gave it everything. And that's why I'll say probably over 6 months. And the hardest thing was cheese because, let's face it, it literally has addictive, properties in it. So it's kind of hard to give it up.
No, literally. I want you to expand on that because people don't believe me. They think I'm just a conspiracist. But could you talk about how there is an addiction?
Yeah, I don't know what the scientific hormone is, but I know there's hormones in the milk that are designed, for the baby cow. So when we're consuming it, our brain is telling us we want more, and we don't, we think it's our choice, but it's like, well, it is our choice, but subconsciously it's like an addiction. It's like a drug, and it's really affecting us. And I feel like not just cheese, but meat in general, because we've been, well, I would say eating meat is a social construct. So we were taught to eat meat, just like the whole argument that if you put a rabbit in a crib with a baby and an apple or something, the baby's gonna try to eat the apple, not the rabbit. Because that's not our natural instinct, is to just eat other animals. So everything is taught except for the cheese and the milk, and because obviously since we're a baby, we've been eating that, and it makes us, it's especially like comfort food, like mac and cheese. That was my comfort food, like
right.
So not only is it affecting us on a biological, chemical level, but also on a on a mental level in terms of those feelings of home and comfort, like I said, comfort food.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Well, one of the things I want to do on this podcast is to help people break through those barriers, because for me, I'm a very strong-willed person. I try really hard not to care about what people think about me, and I even struggle. So I want to ask you, what would you tell people to say and how to act as far as becoming vegan in front of other people that have always known you to eat meat? For example, like the hardest thing for me is to go to a restaurant with other people and order, because I have to do it so differently. It always ends up becoming a conversation. And I know if it wasn't me who was so strong-willed, I would be like, you know what, I'm just going to order something normal, and just not make a big deal of it. So what do you tell people, like when their family asks, or what do you tell them to say?
Well, I feel like it's not really easy to do, but I think the only thing to do is it's kind of just, you're going to have to deal with it because really what your family and people are waiting for is dedication. And once they see that this is you now, I feel like that's the issue. Like, because a lot of times, we go through phases and things happen. So your family's like, oh, they're just probably going through this, and then they'll go. So they're not taking you seriously. Even if they say you're taking you seriously, if they're ever questioning you or trying to, or giving you a hard time, but they're not taking you seriously. I know this with my family. After a certain amount of time, after 3 years now, I think they're starting to, they finally get it now. Like they would say, like, they're not pressuring me to eat anything. They're just kind of like, they're always gonna make comments, but I feel like they automatically know, like when we go out to a restaurant, they'll actually even help me out and tell the waiter that I'm vegan. Like, oh, do you have any, they're like, they'll even help me out because they know that, like, I'm not playing around. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my mom, at first, I'm pretty sure my whole family thought it was a phase. I had to give up dairy for my disease because it actually caused a lot of inflammation. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and I couldn't walk for a long time. And so, I'm lucky because my family kind of understood that. But I went through a girl phase. I went through a rebel phase. I went through all these phases. And so they're probably just thinking,
you're like, little pass.
Yeah, it'll pass. This too shall pass. But I'm pretty, now that I'm doing this, I think that they kind of get it. And I've actually had really good success with my friends around me and my cousin going vegan and all that stuff. But something that I suggest to people, I do this all the time, is if you feel like it's going to make a big deal about it at lunch or dinner or whatever, then just be like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to order yet. I'm going to order later. Y'all can go ahead and order. And then when they order, get up and go to the bathroom and find your waiter and be like, hey, this is what I want to do. And you break it down because it's usually complicated, you know, in a high maintenance type of way. You're like, I wanted this side and this side and this side with some tortillas and a side of guac, and just go do it off on the side. And then when you come back and someone mentions it, just be like, oh yeah, I saw the waiter, I ordered, it's not a big deal. Then when people bring out the food, no one really says anything about it because it's normal. It looks like normal food. It's just the way you order it brings a lot of attention.
Yeah.
So that's what I suggest to all the viewers watching, because I think social control is one of the biggest reasons people don't go vegan. I know in my small town, men out here, it's such a gay thing to do. They literally call it, and I hate this word, but they call it a gay F word for gay people.
Yeah.
I hate that word. They'll be like, oh, that's F food. I'm like, did you just call a salad F food? Like, what?
Yeah.
So I think it's social control. But besides the obvious, the energy and all that stuff, what are the top 3 to 5 effects that you've noticed about your life and yourself from going vegan?
Well, I would say that I definitely am a lot more regular, that's for sure. I never really have a problem with that anymore. Like, I mean, I never really had a problem to begin with, but I would say, like, you know, there's never, you know, before I could say I can remember days in my life where it's like, you know, maybe I was constipated, things happen, but I can't remember the last time that had happened, you know, has happened to me in 3 years, you know. And especially, I can't really contest to it now because I eat a lot more. I would say I eat badly now. I would say I still eat better than probably say the average American, but in terms of like junk food and, you know, vegan junk food, because, you know, I'm doing the whole bodybuilding thing. So like a lot of times I'm just like, I just need some calories, you know, I need some stuff, you know, in me right now. But when I was more raw vegan and I had more smoothies and, you know, fresh food and stuff, like my energy was unmatched. Like especially like I didn't eat coffee. I didn't eat anything because I would just, you know, I would have my bananas in the morning and different stuff. And I'd be in class and I just, you know, my brain is, you know, on fire. Like, you know, just, you know, like I gave what my brain need, all the glucose and everything. And, yeah. And then basically I never felt better. My skin, everything. I never felt better when I was, even now, like my skin is pretty good now, even with a semi-bad diet, but, you know, being vegan, my skin, you know, it's better.
Right, and I like that you address that because people think vegan, well, people think a lot of things when you say vegan, but they think that you mean healthy. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, there are unhealthy vegans. There are people that can eat Oreos, McDonald's, French fries, Diet Coke. That's technically a vegan diet. And for me, I did notice my skin got really clear when I was doing a lot of plants and smoothies and stuff, but now I am eating a lot of, because I'm doing a lot of videos of taste testing, and I love fake meat and I love fake cheese. I don't know if you have tried Trader Joe's almond fake cheese. Oh my gosh, it is so, yeah, and you can't even tell it's fake cheese. I mean, I wish we could come up with new names besides fake cheese because it just sounds so weird, you know?
Yeah, field roast. Field roast is really good too.
Which one?
Field roast cheese.
I've heard
that. Like the best. There's like, to me, like that's like the best one I ever had.
Cool. And are there any ice cream brands, yogurt brands that you would recommend to people?
I can't really contest the yogurt because I've seen vegan yogurts, but I never had any. But ice cream, I love So Delicious. The cashew milk. To me, if you're looking for something that, like, if you're not vegan and you want to try something like ice cream, like cashew milk ice cream, to me is the best because it's the creamiest and it doesn't have that hint of soy or almond, like kind of like the other, or coconut, like that the other flavors kind of have, you know. So right. Especially like So Delicious, like Snickerdoodle or like any of those, or like I've actually given that to people who did not want to, like, you know, meat eaters and people who didn't want to be vegan whatsoever. I bought it for them and said, hey, try this, you know, just try it. And they had it and they loved it. They're like, I was so amazed. Like, I didn't think vegan ice cream could be so good.
Yeah, I love that you said coconut or cashew. I'm going to try that because I just got their coconut cookie dough double dip or something, and I liked it, but there was that emptiness of the coconut because it's so watery, not watery, but it was more icy, and I was like, it needs cream. It needs to be creamier, so I'm going to go get that cashew.
I saw your snap on that, and I saw the cookie. I saw it, and I was like, and then the fact that you didn't do anything after that, I was like, she didn't like it that much. because you didn't like, because I thought about it and I was like, ooh, she's trying that one, and like, then you didn't. Then the next snap was something else. So I was like, yeah, she didn't even tell us what it tasted like.
Okay, so people do notice that. I was like, I'm just gonna leave it be. I mean, my grandma really liked it, but then she got a sugar rush. She was like, "Ooh, there's a lot of sugar in here," and I'm like, "There's a lot of sugar in regular ice cream. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
So how do you feel about SeaWorld and zoos and stuff like that? I don't know if you ever went to zoos for like field trips when you were younger.
I mean, I don't like them. I don't want them to exist really, but at the same time, I don't know. Like, I guess like I don't mind them if they're like more like a sanctuary. If they're more like they have an opening, like, you know, if it's like, okay, they saved this animal because of an unfit environment, and now they've given them this big enclosure. But I don't like when I go to the zoo and it's like you see this lion or something that has this little enclosure and or tigers and they have nowhere to really go. Like, it's kind of like, well, like, the whole SeaWorld thing when they have like this little tank and they have this, parking lot. It's like, 5 times bigger than the actual tank that these, mammoth animals are kept in. But I mean, at the same time, I'm not going to go outside and pick at them. I mean, I'm not saying that people who do that are wrong. I'm just saying that I guess, for me, it's just like one of those things that I don't think that's ever going to change, to be honest. Like, I can see like people going vegan and vegan being more mainstream and all that kind of stuff, but humans love curiosity and they love just looking at things. So I don't think, like, maybe they can get better in terms of enclosures, but that's kind of my take on that.
No, I love that. And I agree too. I wish it was more of a sanctuary. I wish it was less of a prison, and to see what that whale deals with. And I actually haven't seen the picture of the parking lot with is it showing just the size of the parking lot and the size of the pool that it lives in?
Yeah, basically it's like a map of like the SeaWorld, and it shows like, oh, this little dot is like where the whales live, and then it was like showing how massive the parking lot was compared to the where the animals are kept.
Wow.
I think it was on Instagram actually. I don't remember who was, it was like a photo that was floating around. That was like a map of SeaWorld.
Wow, I'm gonna have to look that up. But I noticed you do post really non-aggressive posts on your Instagram about veganism, which I love. I feel like it's more approachable and people can relate to it more. But do you ever get haters about? For me, I will post an animal activist video about pigs being slaughtered or something, and someone will post bacon underneath that one. It's always like the most unhealthiest person on my Facebook. But how do you deal with haters, and how do you tell other people to deal with haters?
Well, I would say that do what makes you happy. So if it makes you happy to get into an argument with these haters and kind of just like go on and on, like, 'cause sometimes, to be honest, like, I'm kind of like an introverted type person, but sometimes I have my moments of like, I just want confrontation sometimes, and I just like, so I see that and I'm just like, okay, this is happening, like, okay, like, and I'm gonna tear them to shreds, And then sometimes, I see it's like a 12-year-old boy, and I'm just like, you're not worth my time to So I think it's like, pick your battles. If you want to respond, you want to respond, but just don't take anything too seriously, because this is it's probably some keyboard warrior that really doesn't even care whether what you say. They're just trying to get a rise out of you. So it's only when it's someone I know, and that's the only time when it's kind of gets under my skin, when it's like someone I know and they post like, oh, but I love bacon or something. I'm like, okay, why do you have to even comment on my picture then? You love it, so why are you even looking at a vegan post?
Right. I try really hard not to get into confrontations over the internet. Sometimes that doesn't go as planned, but it does get me when I know the person, and I'm like, and it gets me even worse when they have every single symptom of someone who eats bacon and animal, like overweight, acne, oily face, like mood swings, anxiety, depression. It's like, you don't get it, bro. I mean, that doesn't make you bad or ignorant because I didn't get it, but it makes you bad and ignorant when you aren't open to the idea of maybe changing. And for me, one of the side effects, I don't know if this has happened to you, one of the side effects for me is my anxiety and my depression have really, really lowered since I've stopped eating animal products. And like today, I kind of had an anxiety attack, or like I was very anxious, but I realized I was like, man, I haven't felt like this in a long time. And there are external things that were happening that were making that happen. But usually when I was eating animal products, it was internal and there was nothing happening. And I'd just be like, like crying and cussing people out all the time. Man, I couldn't figure it out. So are you dating anyone? Is that on the table?
No, I'm not currently dating anyone.
So if you were to date someone, or when you start dating someone, do you care if they're vegan? Do you have a preference, or do you not care?
My whole thing is like I'd rather date someone who's vegan because then it's like I don't have to really explain myself. I don't have to go through these, ordeals and kind of like constant kind of tug of wars, where it's like, because my whole thing is I don't mind dating someone who's not a vegan, but my whole thing is I would not want to marry someone who's not a vegan because, I do not want to, because when it comes to raising kids, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like they're going to be raised vegan. So it's not like that's where it has to draw a line. So, I don't have any stipulations with that, but I basically just like someone with an open mind. So if they're not vegan, but they have an open mind and they're willing to try things, willing to, you can just tell with somebody sometimes whether, whether there's like a hard-nosed person where they're like, well, I'm not going to try this. I don't like it. Like we have to eat meat, or one of those religious fanatics that's like my grandma who says like, oh, God put animals here for us to eat. I'm just like, I can't do that.
Actually, let's go into that because I was going to bring that up. How do you respond to people that bring up religion as a reason to eat animals and also think that veganism is a religion? Like they're like, don't push your ideals on me. You're like, this is not a religion, bro. Like this is like facts. And there are Christian vegans, there are atheist vegans, there are Buddhist vegans, all across the board. So how do you respond to that with the religious thing?
I don't know. I guess I try to give them a backstory about me because I like try to show them I'm not ignorant to even though I'm not religious, I'm not ignorant to it because when I was younger, I wanted to be a pastor, and I, in college I took like, New Testament class and took different classes about religion and different things. So like, I used to read the Bible all the time. So people sometimes will try to quote to me and say like, oh, well, in the Bible it says like this and that, and God did this and God did that. I'm just thinking like, well, I mean, I don't know. I don't. That's a hard subject because one of those things where it's like, I don't really believe in some of that stuff, so it's kind of hard to me, because they like people like quoting the Bible to me,
right?
Bringing up, little scriptures in different spots. So if I don't believe it, then how are you gonna, prove your point with a scripture? But actually in the Bible it begins with saying that you don't eat animals, you eat, like you eat the fruits of the land and all that kind of stuff, and you name the animals. It kind of seems contradictory to be like, name this animal and then eat it, like what I'm saying? Like, so, but people like to point to the old days. So even hypothetically you want to go to the fact that, let's say all that's right, there's God, there's heaven, there's everything that religion says is true. Let's say that's the case. But why do you have to eat it though? I always go back to it. It's like, you don't have to eat it, and it's not like God is saying you're gonna go to hell if you don't eat these animals. Like, what I'm saying? Like, it's not a case of like, oh, you have to continue to eat them. And I'm sure God would not be upset with you, and when you go to the pearly gates, if he's, it's like, I can't believe I put these animals here for you to eat and you didn't eat any of them. How dare you?
Yeah, I try not to step on religious toes because as hardcore as I am in veganism, I know people are the same way in religion. I guess that's why people relate veganism to a religion. But I believe that my God, the universe, positivity, just all that, spirituality, would not look into a slaughterhouse and be like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And my grandma brought that up the other day. She was like, Danny, God put this earth on. It says in the Bible that God put animals on this earth for humans to reign over them. And I'm like, yeah, to reign over them, to ride them like horses. And I don't think he meant like rape them, mass produce them, and then slaughter them at massive rates, like 60 billion a year. 60 billion a year. And I just don't think the Bible God, the Buddhist God, my God, no God would want that to happen. And just so every single person that I've interviewed, they all say when I got rid of animal products, my spirituality rose, my energy rose. Hold on. I got 3 dogs, so it's actually a surprise that they're just now barking. But I mean, it's definitely something. I always bring up this study, and it's a study that was done by some crazy guy who wanted to study all the kids of the survivors of the Holocaust. And so he went around and 100% of them were diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety, and depression. So they were on medications and were clinically diagnosed. And that's because their mothers were in massive stress when they were born, when they were born or before they were born, just their hormones. So if you take that to animals, it's the exact same way. Yeah, they don't talk and have conversations, but they do have feelings like humans, and they do release cortisol and all those other crazy. I don't know if cortisol is the exact word, but they release energy and hormones when they're scared and about to be killed. And if you're sitting there watching all of your brothers and sisters being slaughtered, and then it's your turn, that's a good 4 or 5 days, especially if you're traveling and you're going to go get killed. That's a 4 or 5 days of you just releasing all this cortisol and hormones that are stress and all that. So when they get killed and then we turn around and eat their meat, how do we not expect the energy to go straight into us and for us not to get that? So that really shocked me when I saw that. I see your kitty.
Yeah, it's Coco.
Do you, speaking of animals, that's one of the questions. So do you feed your cat a regular plant-based diet or, a regular diet? And do you suggest that other people feed animal food? I don't know how to.
Well, it's not technically my cat, it's my roommate's cat. So as far as that, I don't have an animal that's really mine to decide that, but because I haven't been vegan actually with an animal. So, but I actually would I don't know, I would only make them vegan if I was going to make their food, because, I mean, it's kind of one of those, it's one of those things, it's obviously if you're going to the store buying certain dog foods, certain cat foods, I mean, some of those meats and some of those things are byproducts of factory farming and kind of so it's one of those things where it's you try to do your best to limit it, but at the same time, it's if you have if you don't really know how to make dog food or certain things, I mean, it's gonna be hard, especially if you're broke or whatever the case is. It's kind of hard to do whatever. So, I mean, me personally, when I have animals, I would probably try to make them vegan. But at the same time, if they go outside and eat a bird or something, I'm not gonna get mad at them. Go out there and eat whatever you want to eat. I'm just saying, I'm just gonna. I mean, I'm not trying to compare my future children to animals, but I'm saying in that sense. But same with my kids, I raise them vegan, give them all the options. But hey, if I give them lunch money and they want to go to school and buy a hamburger, I'm not gonna ground them or get mad at them. I'm just gonna say you have an option to do what you want to do, but when you're in my I'm not gonna buy you these things.
Right.
So, and I guess that goes the same with my animals. I'll try, but I don't know. It's a difficult kind of tug of war there. I don't know what you do.
Well, I live with my grandmother at the time, and she buys the dog food. So right now my dogs are not vegan, and but I did talk to a vet, and they said that dogs can be vegan, that cats can't, but dogs can, and that there's vegan animal foods out there. So whenever I start buying my own food, I'm definitely going to do that, because my dog right now is itching like crazy. He has allergies, and apparently if you go vegan, it goes away. So how crazy is that it works for dogs too, as much as it does for humans?
Well, apparently I don't know how how accurate this was, but I heard a story that actually the longest living dog on record was actually a vegan dog, and he lived 27 years, and it was a vegan dog.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I want my dogs to live 27 years. I've got places to visit across country, and I cannot leave here.
Time for you to kick the bucket. Ready?
Got a good life, Rasta. So what do you say when people bring up the paleo argument? Okay, or you meet a paleo or someone, or just someone with abs or a bodybuilder diet. What do you say to them?
As far as,
I guess not in real life, because you've already kind of stated that you're not really into conflict or confrontation, but in your minds.
I would say if you're gonna do that, I mean, obviously I don't support it if you're gonna eat animals in that way. But if you're trying to be vegan and you want to do that, then if anything, if you're cutting carbs, it's never healthy to cut your carbs out of your diet because I mean that's what your brain runs off most efficiently. So even me, for example, like I'm not gonna. I would love to have, I mean I could do it almost, but I would love to have an 8-pack year round. But at the same time, it's like that's not optimal for my body in terms of like having to cut my carbs and kind of be irritable and like because that's what happens. You cut your carbs, you get irritable, you get all those things, all those good things about being vegan, like anxiety, depression, all those things that like you got rid of, like are going to come back if you're cutting those things out because it's kind of just putting you in a bad place. It's kind of like it's kind of like you feel really good because you look really good. So you feel good. You have those hormones coming into play, like self-image. You're like, oh look at my abs, like or look at this. I feel really really good. I can compete at a high level, but at the same time, it's all those paleo diets, all those things are not sustainable. So why would you want to do something that's not sustainable?
Right.
So that's what
and even then, you have the pioneer paleo people that would argue against both of us. But my thing is, I have never, I don't know about you, I have never heard of somebody who had any type of disease, had any type of anything, and they were like, and I cured it by going paleo. Never heard that. But veganism, you hear that all the time. You hear it like, oh, I had cancer, I had this disease, and like, actually for me, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis 3 to 4 months after my first bodybuilding show, and I was at 9% body fat, and I carb depleted. I basically did a carb cycle, and that's, I think, what destroyed my body. Yeah, I looked really good. I had abs and blah, 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 but I felt like shit. And I mean, like you said, I had the confidence, and people were like, oh, you look really good. And I was like, thanks. But I felt like boo-hole. And then I got a disease, and it's just like, yeah, and then I went vegan to get off the medicine. So I don't really see long-term, like how paleos can even argue that. And the way they do it, they're like, oh, but look at all the CrossFit people. They have abs and shoulders. It's like, I'm going to be, when I become a millionaire and I'm on stage giving my testimony, right? I'm going to say, like, look, just because you have abs and shoulders does not mean you're healthy. Just because you got like a full foot shoulders, like I was there, and it's not healthy at all.
And then even in science, a science statement to carbs and all those things is that your body uses carbs most efficiently for energy out of everything. So it doesn't matter what anybody who's paleo can really say. I mean, there's no scientific argument over that because your body can use fat, but it's harder for your body to use fat for energy as opposed to carbs. They can still do it. Your body can still do it, but just like your body can eat meat. I mean, it's not. It can do it, but it has side effects. You can have it runs your. It's almost like putting bad. Like instead of putting premium in your gas tank, you're putting like the crap. Like crappier fuel. Like your car is gonna run, but I mean, it's gonna run much better with the better stuff in it. And
right.
Dunking it up and breaking down.
Right, and I think the Atkins diet is similar to the paleo, but for people like older, like house moms and stuff like that. And the creator of the Atkins 1.0, because there's like a bunch of different versions now, he died of heart disease. I mean, come on now. I mean, that's crazy. So it's going to be, for me, I think what's going to solidify veganism and grow it massively is to see the difference in between the baby boomers that are going to be passing away soon. That's really morbid to say, but the baby boomers that are passing away that have eaten meat, what they're passing away from, and the baby boomers that have been vegans since the 70s and what they're passing away from. I think when people start noticing, like, wow, that lady was vegan and she was 89 when she died and she was only sick for 2 weeks and she looked gorgeous the whole time. And then there's that person that did paleo and they were sick for like 7 years and had a terrible death and looked terrible, except they had abs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are 2 goals that you have for yourself in 2016?
Well, I want to win my first bodybuilding show that I go into. And, I mean, I guess my other goal has nothing to do with any of this, I guess. My other goal in my head is just to just become better mentally and healthier mentally, all the times, because I feel like that's important over everything. I try to stress that in my latest YouTube video about, yeah, it's nice to have abs. It's nice to do whatever, but it doesn't really matter. None of it matters if like and up here if everything's not if you don't love yourself and you don't really if you're not socially aware, you're not aware of what's around you. You're not considerate of what's around you. So I would say just always being better and never thinking that you can't grow as a person. So that's one thing I want to do is just continue to grow. Like so that's why I never really set like resolutions really or things like that. I'd always just say I want to be better than yesterday.
That's awesome. I love that. I love people that want to grow. It makes me so happy. I can't wait to be, I'm 24, 25. I can't wait to be 35 or 40 because I'm going to be bomb. I'm just going to be growing and keep learning. And then I'm going to be 50 and then just bomber. And keep learning more. So I can't wait for the future. So last two questions. Do you ever see the world going vegan? Not 100%, but the majority. And then also, where can everyone reach you at?
I feel like the world will go vegan mainly just because of the fact that eventually I think the governments and not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, whatever, but just in the future, and I'm not saying like next 10 years, but maybe next 50 years, next 80 years, I'm saying like I feel like the government and other people are finally going to recognize the harm of global warming and different things of causing from animal agriculture and all these things. So I feel like they're going to mandate and tell people like you're not allowed to do this. You have to do this because we want to live. Because the way the human race is going, like I'm afraid actually for my future children, their children and everything else because I want the world to be here in 100 years and not just here but the same, not like an ice cube or a hot box,
right. Or walking around with the things on your mouth.
Yeah. And you have all these viruses popping up and all these different stuff. And it's, it's all from us messing with things. And I think what we need to realize is like, if you want the world to survive, sometimes like you just need to stop messing with things and trying to control everything, just let things be and just live peacefully. And as far as you can reach me at, I have Plant-Built Athletics is everything I have pretty much. I have that's on my Twitter, my Instagram. I have my Facebook page and Dusty Beverley, Ley. If anyone wants to add me on Facebook.
And what about Snapchat?
And Snapchat, Dustin Beverley.
Well, cool. Thank you so much for taking the time to educate me and everyone listening. And I want to have you back on the show. I cannot wait to follow your journey with your bodybuilding. And when was that show again?
It's in November, but I haven't actually started because like I said, I was supposed to do one in the spring, and I'm a sore loser, so I don't want to lose. So I want to make sure I'm not one of those people that I just want the experience. No, if I'm doing all this work, I want to be the winner. Like so, I'm hoping for November, but we're gonna see like if I can get there. Yeah,
good luck on your show, and I'll keep posting on your stuff. That way all my followers can follow you, and I will send you the link whenever this gets posted, okay?
Okay. All right. Nice talking to you. Nice, everyone. I mean, I'm not talking to everyone, but anyone who's watching and listening to this.
Say bye, Mom!
Bye, Mom.
Thank you so much for listening to my podcast. If you have any questions about becoming vegan or you want to know more about my Help Me Go Vegan program, just contact me at mdweiss33@yahoo.com. And if you're wanting to be on the podcast, you can find me on any social media at Dark Sunshine, DARKSUNSH9. I can't wait to meet you.